Be prepared for something new. Everyone is different. So are you. Stay straight. No masquerades. Do things that you'll remember. You can push too far, but stay fair. Stay on track. Give it your all. Get to the bottom of things. Decide what's right. Don't believe in what the others do. Find it out for yourself. Be close to it all. Bring your heart along. Follow your goals. Reach for the stars. Turn the weekend into the loudest party of your life. Are you prepared?
Welcome along, everybody, to Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring, as we get prepared for our first DTM qualifying session of the weekend. It's the penultimate event of the season, and the championship is hotting up. Chris Hartley and Leo Gorman here, trackside, and what is now a very sunny setting in the beautiful Styrian Mountains. It was incredibly foggy when we arrived here at 8:30 this morning, so there was a slight delay to the free practice session for DTM this morning, but happily it all cleared away pretty rapidly. We've now got a beautiful scene here as the cars line up in the pit lane ready for this first critical qualifying session of the day. This on the scene of the original Österreich ring, which hosted 18 Grand Prix back in the 1970s, and 1987 was the last time the Österreich ring in its then form hosted a Formula One Grand Prix, became the A1 ring, and then became the Red Bull Ring in 2011, and we've been coming here ever since. One of the key championship contenders is the double champion Marco Wittmann, one of 6 DTM champions that we've got on the grid, and the reigning champion and the champion from 2014 as well. Still fighting for this year's championship title. But we work to do. He's 4th in the standings. He's the top placed BMW driver. There is the onboard view for Matthias Ekström for Audi Sport Team Abt, the current championship leader. Another double champion, and he is ready for the fight here. Matthias Ekström on 136 points is 9 points clear of Lucas Auer, who of course is racing here in his home country. There is another of our key rivals in the championship. He's 9 points behind Ekström. He's only 3 points ahead of René Rast in his first season of DTM. René for Audi Team Rosberg is 3rd in the standings, and we've already mentioned Marco Wittmann on 115 points 4th. Jamie Green, who's been going well so far this weekend, 113 points, and Mike Rockenfeller 6th in the standings on 110 points. So once the fog cleared, we had our second free practice session of the day, and I say Jamie Green was going well, and there you see it for yourself. He was quickest, 41 thousandths, though it was a very marginal gap back to René Rast this morning. Matthias Ekström was there or thereabouts again as well. Marco Wittmann only 11th, but as we say, free practice as always. We don't know what they're doing with the setup of the cars, whether they're necessarily going for fast lap times or just working on the long-term setup for the races. So that is a glorious blue sky now here, Leo Gorman. A huge crowd already gathering here in what's always a well-supported race, and back here for another weekend, having been coming here, as I said, since 2011. It's a popular race weekend, and it's going to give us some great racing as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, and one noticeable things, as you said earlier on, we had a lot of very low cloud cover, as we see the Formula 3 podium still taking place in the background there. It's actually still quite cool as well, Chris, and that's the kind of thing that will affect tyre temperatures slightly. It will affect the cooling of the cars, etc. So we may not be talking massive differences, but it might take a long time for the tyres to come up to the optimal temperature. But as we saw in the race, the Formula 3 race just happened, it also meant the tyre life was a little bit longer as well. They were able to stretch these Hankooks right to the end. And this, you're right, this is a key qualifying session.
Absolutely.
Because not only is the circuit, it can be difficult to overtake in the circuit. Yes, we've got some long straights, but it's all about getting the turns before them right. There can be a lot of quite difficult to overtake here, but this is a qualifying session where you get points.
Absolutely.
3 for pole, 2 for second, 1 for third place.
Those points have been amassing for the drivers. Some of the drivers have been amassing more than a dozen points in this now, this new system that we have. Last year, the two pole sitters were Marco Wittmann, who did a 122.7 and a 122.68 for Jamie Green. He was the other pole sitter here last year. So Jamie's going to be going all guns blazing, no doubt, to try and close the gap up front to those front runners in the championship. Just 2 races to come here and 2 races at Hockenheim in a couple of weeks' time. Matara and Wittmann are the only drivers that won this race more than once. They've won it a couple of times each. BMW drivers winning both races last year. Wittmann and Glock were the winners of the 2 races last season. And Mercedes hasn't won a race around the configuration of this circuit since the DTM first came here when it opened up as the Red Bull Ring in 2011. So Mercedes looking to try and reverse that trend, and no doubt many of you will have heard and read about the sort of big news that we've had in DTM is that we have now abolished the success ballast system. So it is a level playing field, no success ballast at all. That comes into immediate effect for these final 2 rounds of the season. So it's a straight fight here for pole position, straight fight for the championship. It's going to be as entertaining as ever as the drivers try and get themselves up to speed now. Lee mentioned the points that drivers have been amassing in the qualifying sessions. The driver that's picked up the most points across the qualifying sessions is Rene Rast. He's picked up 13 points so far this season, which has been very useful contribution towards his overall championship. As we go on board with Lucas Auer then on the attack for the first time, making his way through the first turn at Remus, climbing uphill towards turn 3 at Routh, the Mercedes driver. Going all guns blazing here. Took a 1 win and a 1 4th place finish at the Nürburgring last time out. And 22.8 is a pretty decent first sector in the run as well. So he's going well. Lucas Auer is also the driver that's had the most pole positions this year. He's had 3. Been a couple of pole positions for Rene Rast. Marco Wittmann's had a couple of pole positions. Timo Glock's had a couple of pole positions as well. There's several other drivers that have had a single pole position. But Lucas Auer has been a very, very good qualifier. Rene Rast's average grid, though, is better than anybody else's. So he might not have the most poles, but Rene Rast, on average, has been the best qualifier this year. His average grid is 5th on the grid. Next best be Marco Wittmann and Timo Glock, who've averaged 7th on the grid. So Lucas Auer is lighting up the times, but of course he's one of the first drivers to really try and set a competitive time here. But he's going to set an early benchmark. As he comes over the brow, the final couple of corners critical here. You can see in the background Paul di Resta, who's been playing his part in supporting Lucas Auer in this championship fight. Paul di Resta, pretty good wingman to have in your ranks here. So Auer goes through, 1 minute 30.157 he sets. It's not as quick though as Mortara, who's already gone through and set a 1 minute 28.564. And Maxime Martin's just gone below the 130s as well in a 129, but it's going to get a lot quicker than this. Gary Paffett, you can see, he's already taking chunks out of this, so we're going to be much, much quicker than this over the next couple of minutes.
I think one of the important things to understand, I think for the viewers at home to understand about these qualifying sessions is 20 minutes in length. We're going to see effectively two runs from each of these runners. They're going out now, they're setting benchmark laps, they're bedding in the brakes, they're bedding in the tyres, following on from the practice session this morning. And they're getting something on the board. They will come back in probably after about 8 minutes, report to their engineers, talk to them briefly about anything that may need to quickly be fixed or maybe tuned. Maybe change tyres for the last run, send them back out, and that's when we will see the really quick times. But yeah, and at the moment we are just seeing drivers bedding the cars in effectively and setting benchmarks.
Nico Muller, who's come in for a fair bit of criticism in recent races for helping out, in the opinion of other drivers and other teams, helping out his mark and his teammates by holding up the field sometimes. Nico Müller looks like he's going to get a good lap here, much quicker than anybody else in the first sector, and he gets a personal best in sector 2 as well. There is Nico. So yes, he's 15th at the moment, but I think he's going to rocket probably to the top of the times here if he can hold it together in this third and final sector. Out of the final turn he comes, under the shadow of the grandstand, over the line. Third, not quite there. Third place. It's Mortara quickest with a 126.6 now. Auer is second, 126.9. Müller third. Gary Paffett on for a good lap here as well. Quicker than anybody in the second sector. And Maro Engel has gone quicker than anybody else in the first sector just now. Martin goes quicker still in the first sector. So more quick times are coming as Gary Paffett gets himself provisionally onto the front row of the grid. What about Marco Wittmann, though, the defending champion? Goes fastest. Marco Wittmann, 122.982 seconds. Crikey, that's a lap, isn't it? Duval is up there as well at the moment, but we are going to see some much quicker times than this from a lot of the drivers that are stuck in the mid-pack at the moment. Rocky's just gone quicker than anybody in the first sector, 21.4. You're on board with the championship leader. So, for example, we saw Müller drop a lot of time in that last lap. He dropped about 4 seconds in the final sector. Now it's really just winding up to this particular lap because he was fastest overall in Sector 1, and he's about to complete Sector 2. He is fastest overall in Sector 2. Rocky, as you said, also quick. Ekstrom, 16th. He's on screen at the moment. Personal best in Sector 1, fastest overall Sector 2. 4 tenths up at the moment. 4 tenths up on the fastest overall by Wittmann. And it's now Martin. Maxime Martin goes top at a 1:22.849. This is what I mean. They're betting in the track for them. They're betting in the tyres. They're betting in the brakes. They're pulling the cars together. Get the quickest lap time possible as Ekstrom comes across the line. And it is top of the times. A 1:22.41. Farfus has gone third with the 122.6. Now Rocky goes through and he splits them, so he goes third fastest now. Marco Wittmann's on a personal best lap here, back up to third place for him. Every time somebody crosses the line, the order changes. So it's Ekstrom, Rast, Wittmann and Rocky, the top 4. Farfus in 5th, he's on a good lap though. In 6th place, Maxime Martin. Jamie Green has been going well in the practice sessions. He's only 15th at the moment, but this is his first proper go at getting himself a good lap time, and he goes straight to the top of the times, faster than anybody in the final sector, 122.245. Absolute fabulous final sector from Jamie Green, and he had 2 personal bests in Sector 1, Sector 2, as you see. René Rast, 3rd overall at the moment. Fastest overall, as you said, in Sector 1, 244 kilometers an hour was the top speed he reached on the run down through the speed trap. But he drops a little bit of time in Sector 2. It's not a personal best. It's still quick. It's a 36.582. So he's thereabouts. Will he be able to actually string the last couple of corners together? Out of the penultimate corner, through the final corner now. There's a little bit of a lingering right-hand bend as it takes you onto the start-finish straight. He sets a time, 2nd overall, 67 thousandths shy of Jamie Green. That's a 1:22.312. And now René Rast. We've got a yellow flag in turn 7. 7 and 8. Someone has gone off. Right. It's green again, but someone's probably gone off in 7 and rejoined on the exit of 8. As we see Lucas Auer on board now. It's a 21.458 personal best. As we're beginning to see drivers now peel into the pits. They've done their first set of runs. They've completed 5 laps. That's you see the reaction there through the steering wheel into the arms of the drivers as he takes the curb there. Some of these curbs are pretty brutal. And Lucas Auer having to use all of them. He got slightly out of shape there as well, which would have ruined the lap effectively. Lucas is currently in 9th place overall. Matara last time through Sector 2 has gone quicker than anybody, so 13th at the moment for Matara, and last sector wasn't good, so he stays 13th. Yeah, he dropped a... yes, Matara dropped a 2nd on that last sector, an hour. That's where he lost it. Yeah, coming out of the last turn, all very way out wide. Over the runoff area.
Lucas, we will go again for 5 timed laps. I think the last timed lap is the one to go. So we need a quick turnaround, really quick turnaround now.
So they're going to get a lot of laps in, 5 timed laps, they're saying on the team radio to Lucas Auer, and it's the 5th one that will be the one. So you've seen that really in this session. It's the tyres coming up to speed and temperature, getting quicker and quicker every lap. They're not just getting one quick lap out of this as Rocky goes onto the front row of the grid. So it's green, 122.198, 122.227 for Rocky, second fastest. Ekstrom, championship leader, third. Rene Rast in fourth place. Nico Muller had a good lap to get himself back up to fifth position. He was fastest briefly and then dropped down.
Just focus on your rear tires on the warm-up, and it will be better with a hotter car.
This is what I was actually referring to. When they come back into the pits, they'll have a little bit of a debrief with their engineers. They'll talk about how they can better warm up the tires, how they can better use the brakes. Again, do you make any other changes, incremental little changes to get you that little bit of extra speed when you do your run? Those first set of runs, 6 laps for everyone except for Wickens. Wickens came in 1 lap early. Mortara did an additional lap as well, but it's generally 6 laps. And there you see all the grass, the dirt and the muck from Mortara in the radiator. He's going to lose time actually having that cleared from the front splitter.
And as you heard from the team radio, Lucas Auer, it's a quick turnaround. They want to squeeze another 5 laps in. There's only just over 9 minutes to go. It's going to take them time to get out of the pits, time to build up the speed on the out lap. Just over the curbs, it would have been a very good lap from Mortara if he'd been able to hang on to it through that last corner, because it was looking good.
That's going to lose him time. That's going to lose a lot of time in the pits.
I have no data yet. I will give you a feedback soon.
Lucas Auer trying to get as much feedback as he can. We get a super slow-mo now of Jamie Green, who is pushing hard here, fastest at the moment, 122.198 seconds. Rocky is your man, second quickest after the first bout of qualifying laps, and Matthias Ekstrom in third place. The gap between Rocky and Ekstrom minimal.
Is happy with the tire warm-up at the moment. Just keep your focus on the rear tires, and they will be better for this run.
We've just seen Wickens leave the pit lane from our commentary box, and I think 5 fast laps may not actually be, it'll be difficult, it'll be tricky, it'll be tight, but it's not completely impossible because it is a relatively short lap here at the Red Bull Ring, and I do believe off the top of my head this is the shortest lap of the season bar Norris Ring at 1 minute 22.
Okay, Lucas. Same approach, 2 push laps and then 3 timed laps.
It's very calm, isn't it, when the team talks to the driver and vice versa. Yeah, it looks frantic when you watch it from the exterior, but it's all very calm. Like great slow-mo there, sparks flying. You saw Mortara's car getting wheels off the ground when it went wide over the curbs through the last turn. So there is more to come from Edo Mortara. He's been a double winner here at Spielberg in the past, switching across the course from Audi this season to Mercedes, struggling by his very high standards. He was the runner-up in the championship last year, and he's 13th at the moment. But as I say, if Mortara had just held that last lap together, he'd have been up there fighting for a top 3 position, because, I mean, even now he is 13th on a 122.7. If he could find 0.3 of a second, he'd straight away get himself up to 5th place. So Lucas Auer out. It's about getting track position here as well, not getting held up. It's almost going to be who's last across the line, because the way the tyres are working and getting quicker and quicker with each and every lap. Valuable data, as Lee says, for the drivers and teams from that first stint, because yes, they went out in free practice this morning, but the track has changed. There have been Formula 3 cars racing around it, laying down more Hankook rubber. The air temperature and the track temperature has gone up as the sun has come out. It was still misty conditions, or the mist had just about cleared when they went out for free practice this morning. So the track is a living, breathing thing. If you bolster on a setup which worked 2 hours ago, it is not definitely going to work for you again when you get to the qualifying session. So you've got to make these tiny, tiny tweaks to just try and get back these thousandths of a second.
And it's important to remember what Lucas Auer's engineer said over the radio. 2 push laps, warm the car up, get it right up, and then 3 time laps. So we're going to see Lucas do 2 reasonably quick, but not ultimately fast laps, because he doesn't want to push it too hard too early, and then we'll just see 3 laps.
There's a real skill in warming up the tyres and not ruining them, isn't there?
Yeah.
You can be too aggressive on your first couple of laps. You can take the very best out of the tyres. There's a real skill in getting them up to temperature as well. Robert Wickens will be hoping for an improved second part of the run here. Look at the moment, Audis are dominating, aren't they? Green, Rockefeller, Ekstrom, Rast, Muller, all up there.
But is this sort of, well, I think you can ignore the I don't believe Ralph Aaron's made it to DTM quite yet.
News to us, yeah.
But is this the difference between having the performance balances and not having the performance balances that we've had so far this season? We will only really see as the session goes on.
Well, certainly all 3 team bosses absolutely delighted, it seems from the reactions, that it's been scrapped. Gareth Berger coming in as DTM chairman was one of the key things, top of his list to change, and unanimous positive reaction from Dieter Gas and his rivals Rory Fritz and Jens Marquardt. So a very positive reaction. It's going to be just as close as ever, I think, is probably the answer to the question. As we look at Paul de Resta there, he's currently running in 8th place. Nobody lighting up sector times at the moment. You've got Audis filling the first 5 places currently. BMWs with a good winning record here last year, as I said, 6th and 7th. Mercedes best is Paul de Resta, the man you're looking at, currently running in 8th place here. De Resta's best times are 1:22.5, which is 0.3 of a second away from provisional pole from Jamie Green's time. 0.3 doesn't sound a lot, but in the context of DTM, where you often get a second covering the whole lot of them, and as Lee said, a pretty short circuit here, that's quite a big time to try and claw back somewhere for Paul here. But he'll give it his best, the ex-Grand Prix racer. Still building up tyre temperature as he comes on to start the next lap.
I think the aspect there is, you just said, it's a very, very short circuit. Pole for Green at the moment is a 1:22.198. 17th Timo Glock, 1:22.953. So it's less than 0.8 of a second. It's only 3/4 of a second from 1st to 17th. Yeah. Loic Duval hasn't really set a really representative time. He's still in the mid-24s. So he just wait for him to get back up to speed. But yes, 3/4 of a second covering the first 17 of the 18 drivers in this field. As you see Edo Mortara at the moment, he's going through his warm-up processes as he builds up to these final 3 3/4 minutes of this qualifying session. That'll be enough to maybe get in 3 fast laps. So I think we're going to see the really quick ones start to turn in now, Chris.
Yeah, Mortara was on pole position around the streets of the Norris Ring, but since then, his best qualifying has been a 10th. And he's been sort of 15th, 16th, 17th a lot of the time. So it's been difficult qualifying sessions in the last few rounds for Edo Mortara, but there's definitely something left in this here. Probably all the others are going to improve as well, probably. We'll see. There's only 3 minutes and 19 seconds to go, though, and nobody yet has got those tyres working fully in this second session.
It's been a difficult season in general for Edo Mortara, who was a championship contender last year with Audi, pushing Marco Wittmann right to the final race of the season. And he hasn't quite settled in fully yet with Mercedes, but when he does, he is a driver to be feared.
Absolutely right. So Lucas Auer then, 10th. That will not please him if he stays there with this championship at stake, especially with Eki currently 3rd quickest. Ekstrom's been, as ever, a decent qualifier this year, averaging 8th place. Hasn't been on pole yet this season, Ekstrom. A couple of thirds at the Hungaroring. His best was 2nd on the grid for race 2 at the Moscow Raceway, but still seeking his first pole position. Jamie Green is there at the moment on a 1:22.198. There you go, all about gaining track position here and giving yourself space. So getting ready for the attack, generating heat in the tyres, making sure he's got a clear gap ahead of him to really go for this. And Lucas is about to bury the throttle. Nico Muller has just done a personal best in Sector 1, so times are starting to come. It's going to be a real late flurry, this, isn't it?
Same with Bruno Spengler and Robert Wickens putting in their personal bests. The BMW and Mercedes drivers down at 14th or 15th place at the moment. They're looking to improve. As we see Muller on screen now, it's another personal best. Fastest overall, actually, so far, with the 2 PBs together as he comes through the final couple of corners.
Remember, Jamie Green was quicker than everybody in the final sector. That's where he really nailed the lap. So Nico has still got work to do here, even though he's a 10th up. It looks though he's going to improve upon 5th place, though, doesn't it? For sure, he could find himself on the 2nd, maybe even the front row of the grid here. 1:22.198 seconds to beat. Over the line comes Nico Muller, and he goes quickest by 0.2 of a second. Mighty final sector for him. Brilliant stuff. Ekstrom's on a flyer as well, though, and he's gone 2nd. There is René Rast on board with him. So Green has suddenly, from 1st, gone down to 3rd behind Muller and Ekstrom, but Green has just set the fastest mid-sector of anybody. It's the longest sector, Sector 2 as well. Here he comes, Jamie Green, the British driver. Get team radio now from René Rast. That disappears as Jamie attacks the final couple of corners of the lap here. We know how good he is in the final sector as well. What's he going to do here? It is looking good. Second. Oh, 4,000th of a second.
And interesting there, as we see, Marco Wittmann comes across the start-finish line, goes 4th overall. Muller set that fastest lap without actually setting any purple sectors anywhere. It was all personal bests, but they were all quick enough to give him a 2/10 advantage at the time over Jamie Green.
Oh,
it's now
curves are wide again for Matara. He's giving it full beans here. Feels like he's having to rag the car just to drag it up there. But he's got to just keep it a bit smoother. Losing time again there, so 13th still.
It's too ragged. It's too ragged from Edo Matara. He's losing too much time on several corners. They're throwing it around quite like that. 3rd place, Matti Ekström at the moment. Personal best in Sector 1 at 36.5. It's a decent time. It's 2/10 down on the absolute fastest second sector in this qualifying session so far. But can he make it across the line?
And he's been told last lap.
Checkered flag.
Checkered flag comes out, yeah. Through they come, so one more lap. He's just about to squeeze it in. He's going to be more or less be the last one across the line here, Eki. So let's see what he can do on this final lap. But it's Muller from green on the front row. Eki stayed 3rd. Wittmann, another championship contender in 4th. Rocky in 5th. Rast in 6th place. Wickens has come up to 7th. Glock, Farfus and Martin rounding out the top 10 at the moment. And Jamie Green goes personal best in Sector 1 and best of all in Sector 2. He just needs to find 4,000ths of a second. Can he do it? Can he do it? Yes, he can by 21,000ths of a second. Jamie Green back on pole.
Muller's not quick enough on his first sector. I don't think he quite has enough as it stands at the moment, unless he's really, really quick in the final sector. Wittmann.
He's trying to just get a feel for where he is in this last lap.
I don't think he's quick enough at the moment.
Is it the last lap, he says? Yes.
Yeah, it's done. It's 36, late 36s in the middle sector. They've lost it. The tyre temperature's just dropped.
If you're not improving, you can box.
Yeah, he's going to bin it off.
Position 3, green.
Well, what an effort that was from Jamie Green. You can tell he's a man chasing. Jamie's just going to be going for wins now. If he can string some of those together from pole positions, he's still got a crack at this championship. It's going to be slim, isn't it, the chances? But, again, he's another 3 points for that, doesn't he?
And jumps Wittmann in the standings as well. Brings him to 116 points to Wittmann's 115. So that brings Jamie Green up to 4th in the standings overall, making it 3 Audis in the top 4 of the championship.
And that's a round dozen. Now it's his 12th career podium, Jamie Green. Never more an important one as well, you would say, coming into this crucial stage of the season. That was a mighty effort from him. And Jamie Green, in fact, that's his first pole of the year. It's his 12th pole overall, but it's the first time he's been on pole. It's the first time he's been in the top 3 since the Hungaroring, the 3rd round of the championship.
And critical as well, because that was at the point where the tyres just plateaued and we maybe just went slightly over the edge. As we saw Muller and Ecke's last laps, they were losing time in the first sectors and then losing a lot more in the second sector. So they hit the point where they just could not improve anymore. The tyres would still be good in a racing situation, but as an absolute qualifying tyre, they just dropped off that little bit. So Green got that fastest lap in at just the right time.
Great effort from Nico Muller as well. He's best of the season. He's had 1 pole position in his career, but that's his first front row start of the year, Nico Muller. And it was 21,000ths of a second was all he missed out by, so absolute fractional. Eki will be pleased, I think, with 3rd because he's leading the championship. His closest championship rivals are all behind him. Marco Wittmann, again, supreme for BMW in 4th place. Mark Rockenfeller in 5th position. Still could upset the apple cart here. René Rast, as I say, has been a very good overall qualifier on average this year. In the top 6th again. Robert Wickens 7th. Maxime Martin 8th. Timo Glock 9th. Augusto Farfus having a bit of resurgence in 10th place. Paul de Resta 11th. Lucas Auer 12th place. Not where he wants to be at all, is it? As I say, he's had the most pole positions, but he hasn't been the best qualifier on average. He's also had some pretty lowly grids this year as well, and that's one of them, I'm afraid. 12th place for him. Bruno Spengler 13th. Edo Mortara 14th. Gary Paffett 15th. Tom Blomqvist 16th. Loic Duval in 17th. And Maro Engel, one of the other race winners this season, in 18th place. Their confirmation of just how close it was. We talked about the gap between the top 2. 81,000ths of a second covering the top 4 in that session.
And not less than 1 second over the entire field. I think it comes to .932 or something like that from
just under a
first
second,
to last. First to last.
Your maths is good, Lee.
Oh, thank you.
.932, yeah. Gold star for you and a badge. .932 of a second. Incredible, that, isn't it? A relatively short lap, but it's not that short. And it just shows how mightily competitive this year's DTM is. So, Jamie Green, what an effort that was. That was on the limit, but smooth and controlled aggression from Jamie Green. He'll be delighted with that. That was a mighty pole position. And Audi with a great session there, taking the top 3 places. Marco Wittmann's BMW, the best of the non-Audis, in 4th spot. So here is how the starting grid is going to shape up for this afternoon's first race of the weekend. Jamie Green and Nico Muller on the front row.
And on the second row of the grid, we got championship leader Matthias Ekström and reigning champion Marco Wittmann.
Row 3 then, starting 5th, Mike Rockenfeller, and starting 6th, René Rast.
Heading up the 4th row of the grid is Robert Wickens in the Mercedes and Maxime Martin in the BMW alongside him.
And to round out the top 10, Timo Glock, a race winner here last year, starting 9th, Augusto Farfus in 10th.
And it's an all-Mercedes 6th row of the grid with Paul Di Resta 11th, Lucas Sauer 2nd in championship, a lowly 12th.
Row 7, Bruno Spengler starts 13th, and Edo Mutara is 14th, right alongside him.
A very, very disappointed Gary Paffett 15th on the grid, Tom Blomqvist 16th. He'll be looking for some points from there, he hopes.
And then the back of the grid, Loic de Waal, Le Mans winner, and Maro Engel, 17th and 18th for race 1 this afternoon. Well, glorious blue skies here now. Hard to believe we couldn't even see the track when we arrived here this morning with the mounting mist. But it's a beautiful backdrop, this. One of the favourites on the calendar. We love coming here as well. A couple of hours drive from Vienna. And we get to see some great racing as well. Matthias Ekström then is the driver as the championship leader that is going to be lining up in 3rd place. Thousandths of a second between him and the 2 drivers that out-qualified him. So some super slow-mos there of the driver looking for his 3rd championship title in the DTM. Always a real racer as well, Matthias Ekström. Nico Muller in 2nd place with his best qualifying session of the season. 2nd time he's been in the top 3, but the first time he'll be starting a race in 2017 on the front row of the grid. Snatching pole position back from him right at the end of the session, though, in the Hoffmann Group Audi, was Jamie Green to take his 12th pole position of his career and his first of 2017 by just 21 thousandths of a second.
It's a big win there for Audi. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th and 6th on the grid, with only Wittmann in 4th, splitting the gaggle, and then 7th, Wickens is the highest Mercedes.
So, fantastic qualifying session. We have the race coming up this afternoon. Thanks for joining us from Leo Gorman and me, Chris Hartley. We'll see you later on for race 1 here at Red Bull Ring.